Hello, I'm Chris. This is part 3 of my air hockey tutorial series. This is basically carrying on from the drag and drop section. What we had at the end of the last lesson was we had kind of a working game in which you can move around. Nothing's really that broken, and you can kind of have a game with a friend, except you haven't really got a score or anything like that. So it's playable, but it's not ideal, and it's obviously not a complete game because it still kind of looks a bit rubbish. Okay, so what we're going to do is in this one we're going to add in the score, and we're going to do all the score counter stuff. Okay, so firstly we need to create some sprites. So we're going to create our first sprite. So if I zoom in again just to make this a little bit more visible because of my resolution, I think, do create sprite. And then on this, I'm going to call it SPR underscore, and this is going to be score. So this is going to be this is for the object that stores our score. So what we're going to do is do edit sprite, and then new sprite, and then I'm going to change the dimensions. So the dimensions for this is width 256. Oh, I can't even write. 256. Yes, thank you. And then our height is going to be 96. Okay, so all multiples of 32 or 16 or 8 or whatever you think. Anyway, there we go. And then we're going to double click on this. And what we're going to do with this, we're going to leave the basically this checkered bit in the background. This is alpha. So this means that this, wherever this checker part is basically transparent. Okay. So we're going to write our score. So our score, probably going to write it in black. So click on the spray can thing and then click on the size, and then we're going to go over to the black color, or a grayish black. Grayish black is still grey. Okay, right. So we're going to write score. Let me just zoom into this so I can see what I'm doing a bit better. So write score, and then if it's got any gaps in it, which is annoying. See how I spell this wrong. Alright, and then just clean it up a little bit if you can. Well, it doesn't have to be that clean because it's supposed to look like basically somebody drew it somewhere in a rush. So this is probably better than my actual handwriting, but anyway. Alright, so score. So we've done that. And do the tick again. Alright, going to leave the origin in that point, and we don't need to change any collision mask options, so that's not a problem. Okay, and then the next thing we want to do is we're going to create like a score counter, and this is going to have like an animation thing on it. Okay, so we're going to do create sprite again, SPR underscore what's this called, count, and P1. Okay, so count for P1, and then we're gonna basically draw our sprites that we want. So edit sprite, and we're going to do new to start with, and the dimensions for this is 64, and then 96, and click OK. Alright, so it gives us this like sort of paper sort of shape thing. Alright, we're gonna do, first of all, we're gonna click on it, and we're gonna do Control C, and we're gonna go Control V until we got it basically counts up to image 09. Yep. So we've got 10 images, yeah, but how it counts is it counts 0 first, then 1, then 2, then 3, and it goes along like that. And that's basically a lot of the way that some things count inside of GameMaker, and pretty much program as a whole. Anyway, first one we're going to open is 0, and because this is 0, we're going to draw a 0 to start with. So it's valid for our player in our game to have a score of 0. We're going to change our color to red because this is for player 1, and then we're going to draw a 0, or as best a 0 as I can. And once you've finished drawing your 0 and you're happy with it, I mean, if you're not happy with it, do Control Z and do draw it again. Okay. Then up here, just under where it says edit, it's got these 2 arrows. So if you click on the right arrow, it will shift to the next one. And then what we want to do on this one is, because it says 2, but we want to draw a 1, so because there's 10. So So first one was 0, next one 1. So I'm going to write 1, and basically draw it however you want, and then do next, and then we're going to draw a 2, and obviously if you can count, then this is fairly straightforward. So 3. Try and roughly keep to the same style. This is kind of going to be like a custom font for us. So I'm on 3, so I got to draw 4, 4, then 5, and maybe just fill in that blob there. 6, 7. Depends how you want to draw 7. I'll just kind of do that thing in there. All right, and that's a bit messed up. Let's just draw that all again. 7. Oh, it's still messed up. 7. Next, 8, and then finally 9. Alright, and then you can go left and right through these to check that they're all basically the same-ish. So 0 is really big, they're big, 5's kind of small. Alright, I'm happy with that. If you're not happy with yours, then by all means change it. Alright, if you click on this show preview, it will play through really fast, and it kind of looks like, I don't know, someone's got time to defuse a bomb or something. You have this playback speed at the bottom here, which is 30. So 30 is the speed of our game, but if you want to see it in a slower motion, then change it to like 15 or something like that. Or I'll change it to maybe like 10, and it kicks through quite quick. So 10. Let's try 5. Okay, so it goes through, and you can kind of sample how it will look. Obviously, if you're scoring at this speed, then there's something broken with your game. Anyway. So we're going to do the tick here, and then on this, I think I'm going to leave the origin as it is because it's not that important. And click OK. And then we're going to right click on this one that we've created and duplicate it. So we've got 2 of them. And you can redraw the numbers if you want to, and it probably make your game look a whole lot more interesting. But for the sake of time on this tutorial, I'm just going to not do that. P2, edit sprite, and then in this bit you can do colorize again. And I'm going to shift it to blue, which is luckily it's already on blue, which saved a lot. And okay, so we've got both of our counters ready, and we've got our score thing ready, so we need to make some objects for these. So create objects, and we're going to do score first. So obj underscore score, and going to select our score sprite, which is that one, and click OK. And then we're going to do our counters. So create object, sorry, obj underscore counter. Is it counter? Yeah, count, and it's P1, and grab P1, and OK, and then probably duplicate it. Actually, there's no point really. Create objects, obj underscore count P2, and then grab the other one, P2. Okay, so basically they all start on 0 by default. We're going to quickly chuck this into our game to test what it actually looks like. I'm just going to roll out the mouse wheel a little bit, and I'm going to go to here, grab my score first of all, so we can get the positioning of this, and I'm going to paste it into our room. That'll do. And then going to grab our count for P1. Player 1, and put that just next to it, and then our count for P2, and then put that one just next to it, sort of maybe a little gap or something, and then just going to run the game just to test it out, so see if it, see how it looks really. Alright, the numbers on it when we test our game are going to be running like a mile a minute, so there's going to be speeding through, because we haven't set any kind of time to it. Obviously it looks super like hackers mode. Anyway, okay, so it kind of looks alright. It still looks like crude, drawn like the way that the rest of the game looks, so that's fine. Alright, so we're going to start adding the properties to the score. So basically it actually does something useful rather than just kind of look pretty at the moment. So I'm going to zoom in again, and on this I'm going to open up my score object. And inside of my score objects, I'm going to start adding some properties. So first of all, I'm going to do add event, and I want to create add a create event. Alright, so what we're going to do next is basically going to add variables. Variables is like a container for numbers, or well, anything, but in this case we're going to use numbers. And you need to basically give the container a name. So if you click in this section here and you click on control, and then what we want to do is in the variable section, the first sort of square inside of there is called set variable, and that's the one we want to use. So drag that into the window and you should get a set variable. If your thing doesn't look the same as mine, chances I've dragged in the wrong one. So just make sure you grab this first one here. Okay, so this variable name, we have to give it a name. So the container in which the numbers are stored has a name. So this is going to be called score underscore P1. Okay, and the value stored in score at the moment from the start of the game is going to be 0. So this is fine. Click OK, and then we're going to do the same. So in order to save time, I think you can duplicate it. So copy it, Control C, Control V, and then open up the second one. And then where it says score P1, sorry, going to change that to P2, and then click OK. Alright, so this is setting up our score, but at the current moment, it's not actually linked to our sprites at the bottom for our objects. So it'll be tracking this in the background, but they'll still be like running like really fast, and it won't be useful at the moment. Let's close that. On obj count P1, we're going to open that one, and we're going to add some properties into this. So basically we're going to make it so first of all it stops running like a million miles an hour, and then secondly we're going to make it so that we can track the score. So let's first of all do that other property. So in the create, so basically add event create, and then we're going to add in a variable again. So add variable, so set variable. The variable that we're changing is called image underscore speed. Yeah, and then we're going to leave it to 0. So by default, when we were first of all messing with those values, you could see that we were changing the speed in which they play. If you set it to 0, then it means that they don't update, and then basically we can manually update it rather than it just playing the animation all the time. So set to 0, and then OK. And then if we do that to the other one, so obj count P2, the exact same thing. So create, and then go to control variable and drag that in. We're going to do image underscore speed, and then leave that to 0. Okay. If we do a real quick test, we can see that they're not actually going to be updating in any way, or like not updating, but like not playing, which is the main thing which I quickly want to show you. There we go. So we can see that 0 and 0 and nothing happens, and it doesn't matter if the puck goes into the game because it's kind of currently reset the game anyway, so it's not really useful. I'm going to close that, and we are going to go back into our score object real quick. Alright, so inside of our create bit for our score, what I want to do just quickly, just so we can test stuff's working properly before we start messing around with it. If you open up where you have the set variable, so we're inside score, let's go through that again. Score, then we're in the create event for it, and we're in P1. I'm just going to change this to 5. Okay, and then in P2, these are like our initial scores. I'm going to set this to like 3. Okay, right. Just to show that they're not actually connected, just going to run the game one more time real quickly. So these should both not be, yeah, they're 0, 0. Obviously we changed the score values, and you can see that they're not actually updated. What we're going to do is going to link these counters to the value of the score. Okay, so in our count P1, we're going to add a step event. Alright, and this is probably an event that we haven't used yet. Okay, step event is something that runs on basically every game step, yeah, or every frame of our game. So if you have a game that's running at like say 60 frames a second, then it will update everything that's happening inside of the step at that sort of speed, yeah. So every time a frame runs, it will check all of the properties that are inside step, and then it will update the screen, and then after that it will go back into step and then update the screen. So what this basically means is our game is set to 30 frames a second, yeah, and then it's going to, every second that passes, it's going to check our step event. Every second that passes is going to check our step event 30 times and that's kind of how it works. Anyway, well, when I put this in here, it probably make more sense, and I assume like future explanations will probably make it even more clearer. Anyway, in our step event, we want to go to control, and we want to grab in another set variable. In this set variable, we want to like link the stuff that we had from before. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to do image index, image underscore index. Right, so this is the variable that we want to update. So the image index is which frame it is inside of the animation sequence. So for these, it's like which number it's going to be on, yeah, for the sprite that we have. And then the way that it's going to be linked to is going to be linked to obj underscore score, full stop, or period if you're American, and score underscore p1. Okay, so what this does is the image that we're currently on is connected to whatever the value of our score is. So if our score value is 5, then it's going to set the image that the score counter displays to 5. Okay, alright. With this, the way this is written in here, whereas this is just written straight in with no object, this one needs to be written in with an object, because what we're doing is we're accessing a property which is score p1, which is inside of our score object. If we just had like this bit, if I just delete that for a second, it will come up with an error because it won't be able to find this. Yeah. So like you have, say, in Windows, whatever. Control Z. Yeah. It's like when you're making a shortcut in Windows. It's like the program that you want. When you create a shortcut, it wants to know the path of where that program is. So like the how to get to it, basically. So this obj and then this full stop is basically the how to get to, and then this is the actual part that we want it to check. All right. The other thing that we want to check in this, actually, no, we don't. That's fine. I was going to say this, but never mind. Right. So if we click OK on that, and then on the other one, we'll do exactly the same, but obviously, you know, its own custom thing. So in obj underscore count p2, we want to add a step, and then we're going to go to control and add in the variable thing. This is going to be image underscore index, and then this is going to be obj underscore score for full stop or period, and then it's going to be score, if I can spell, underscore p2. Okay, I think this is right. Let me just double check that these are the names of the things. Also, when you're writing stuff in, it really matters that you use the correct name. So yeah, there's definitely an underscore there. And let me just double check this. I put an underscore in this one for look like a special. Okay, right. So I've done both of those correct. If I run the game now, hopefully we won't get an error because that would be annoying. What we should see is we've got a 5 and 3. Yeah. So that basically they're updating the score we set to 5 and 3, and then the actual images are like synced with it. So that's basically working. Obviously the game's still unplayable because it goes in the goal and it ends. Alright. The next thing we would like to do is we would like to have our, every time it goes into the goal, we want to update the puck, what the puck's doing. Yeah. So open up the puck and zoom into the puck, and in our obj underscore goal 01 bit where we've got the reset start game, delete that because we don't want the game to restart every time it goes in there. We want to actually make it do something, and we want to go to one of these tabs. Where is it? I think it's this one. So main 01, and then where it says destroy instance, drag that into this. I'm going to zoom out a little bit because I think I'm a bit too zoomed in. There we go. Right. So when the puck goes into the goal, basically the puck equivalently deletes itself, yeah, from the game. Okay. Then we want to have another thing. So we want to have a variable. So a set variable, and then inside of this we want to write this part in here. So obj underscore score full stop, score underscore P2. So I'm aware that I'm in goal 01, but we want player 2's goal score to update when he scores in goal 01. Yeah. Otherwise, you'd have like the wrong player scoring in the wrong goal, and it would be really confusing. All right. The value we want to update it by is 1, so we want to add 1 to the score. And then we want to click this relative tick box, okay? And what this relative tick box basically does is it gets whatever value is currently stored in the container and then adds to it rather than basically replacing it. So if it was like this, every time it goes into the goal, what it does is it gets the value that's stored in there, so 1, yeah? And then it rubs it out so it's not in there anymore, and then it puts 1 back in there, and then it will do that a million times and it will still only be 1, yeah? Whereas inside, if you tick relative, what it does is it goes, oh right, so inside this container it's got a 1, and then it goes, oh right, so it says relative, so what it does, it goes, oh, we're going to add 1 to that, and then basically it becomes 2, and then it becomes 3, and then it becomes 4, that's 5, anyway, yeah, it keeps adding to it over and over until it hits a limit of whatever we want to limit to. Yeah, so click relative, and then the next one in there is, once the puck's gone in there, it'd be a pretty rubbish game if the puck goes in there and then it's the end of the game and one player scores 1. So what we want to do is go to main 1, and then this first one, which is called create instance, and it looks like a light bulb as well, drag that into there, and we want to create a new instance of our puck. So we're going to go to the puck. So basically we'll ask you what object you want to create, and obviously we want to create a puck, so create puck, and then it asks you where you want to position it, and this is the X and Y position, so we're just going to quickly find this out. So open up our game room. Oh, let's just click that, leave that as that for a moment. Open up our game room, and then we want to find the position of our puck. So this is X equals 544 for me, and then it is Y equals 288. Alright, so depending on the position in which you put your puck in the game, obviously these numbers may vary, probably quite a lot to be honest, to where you want to create the puck again. So I'm going to click on this tick here. I'm going to go back into this create instance, and I'm going to zoom back in, so just so you can remember where I am. So obj goal 01, and then the create instance for that. We had a puck in there, and we had 0, 0. So I want to update these to 544, and then for me the other one is 288. Okay. I don't want it to click relative. I just want it to go straight to this position. Okay. And then OK. All right. And I've got all those in there. And then to save time, I'm going to select all of these and do Control C, and go into goal 02, delete the restart game, and then paste them in there. And I'm just going to update this bit here. So when it goes into goal 02, we just want it to update goal 01's score instead. So just so you can see that again. Same properties in there. It's going to create the same puck, and then in the set variable for goal 02, we want to update player 1's score. Okay. Before I test the game, I want to reset the score value, so I'm going to open up the score object, so obj underscore score. In the create section for this, I'm going to open up these two things here where it says score starting value, and I set that to 0, and then the score value for this one, set that to 0 also. Then I want to test the game just to make sure that it's not broken in any way, and check that this is actually going to work. Alright, so hopefully it'll go in the goal eventually. In fact, it's probably just going to encourage it, if I can. Maybe this will. Oh, so rubbish at my own game. I can't even score an own goal. How embarrassing is that? Alright, so that'll go in there. Alright, so yeah, that went in. And you can see that down here, the right score sort of updating. So this blue score is updating because basically in this area, the blue player actually scored the goal. And it's just going to go up and up and up. Hopefully eventually it'll go the other way and go in the other goal. Nope. Alright, yeah, well, I think I need to fix the position of this bit anyway. hopefully it will just keep going in the same goal and it'll go up and up and up. But basically what happened, it will get to 9, and then when it gets to 9, because there isn't a end sequence, it's just going to go to 0 again and carry on going round. Okay, so I'm going to close that. Just one moment, I'm going to pause the game. Alright, carrying on from where I left off, what I'm going to do is basically just make it so that you can win the game, yeah? So I'm going to open up the score object, and inside the score object, let me just zoom in again, I'm going to add a step event, and it's going to be checking to see, like every frame is just going to be checking to see if one player's won or not, okay? Rather than adding in the variables and putting this stuff in manually, I want to just add in a code just to make it a little bit easier. So what you do is, inside of the control tab, click on the first bit underneath where it says code and it looks like a document with some words on it, and drag that in. And I'm just going to paste this code in here and let you, basically you can pause it if you want to or type in it, yeah? And I pre-wrote this code already, and it's basically, what it's doing is, if you want to know anyway, is checking if player 1 score is equal to 9, and then it has these two lines which are basically next to the Z key. If you, I think you hold down a button for that, I don't know, or you can write OR. You can actually just change these to OR, which makes it a little bit easier to read, I guess. So you have this open bracket, so this is a round bracket, and it goes opposite sides. I may put this into the description so you can just copy and paste it in, because I know that code's probably, you know, maybe a little bit advanced for this tutorial anyway. But I just wanted to put this in here because it makes it a little bit easier. So it's basically asking if either player 1 score is equal to 9, or is player 2 score equal to 9. And if either of these two things are true, then inside of these curly brackets, which are the ones that are next to the P key, they then restart their game, okay? And I'm just going to click on the tick here, and I'm going to test the game out. And I want to make the goals a little bit bigger so I can speed the game along, because I just really want to test it, not really bothered about playing it properly. So I'm going to grab this other goal out here, and just put this up here, and then like make it larger. Okay, right. Oh, right. So I've moved this over a little bit more, maybe. Alright, that's doesn't matter if it's fair, really. It's just testing. I'm going to test the game real quick. I remember that I've done that so that in my next tutorial I can fix that real quickly. So it should just tick up real quickly. Maybe I'll just try and get it to go in the same goal as much as possible. So get it over there again. Get out of the way. No. Alright, yeah, I should probably speed the puck up as well. I'm sure eventually one player will win. So maybe it's a chance to sort of bet on which player is going to win. 7, come on, the other way. There we go. 9, and then the game resets, and basically the game is over. Alright, so this is our real crude layout for this, and probably going to, in the next tutorial, going to go through some improvements to kind of make the game a bit more playable. And then a little bit after we've done all the playability things, it might be maybe 2 videos before we've got the playability the way we want it to be. And then we're going to move on to making the graphics really pretty and not this rubbish placeholder stuff. Anyway, thank you, and I'll be back soon.